Welcome to the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast, the show committed to helping you dismantle the destructive mindset programs keeping you stuck in the proverbial bunker of poor performance so you can get out of your own way and play to your potential. My name is Paul Salter. I'm a high-performance hypnotherapist and mindset coach with 16 years of experience helping thousands of individuals like you get unstuck. This podcast features a collection of solo episodes, conversations with scratch and plus handicap golfers, and master classes with top experts in the performance psychology space. The one goal? To help you make playing to your potential a habit. Welcome back to another episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salter, the golf hypnotherapist, and buckle up. I've got a great conversation to share with you today because I have the privilege of sharing a conversation with Dr. Joseph Parent, renowned expert in performance psychology. You may know him as the author of Zen Golf, which, funny enough, I believe was just listed as the or one of the top golf mindset game books out there. It's a must read. Again, Zen Golf. But Dr. Joe has coached the mental game in golf, business, and life for over 40 years. He's worked with major champions, many other top golf professionals, and amateurs at every level. And get this, he has the singular distinction of coaching both a man, Vijay Singh, and a woman, Christy Kerr, to the number one ranking according to the World Golf Ranking. So you're in great hands today between me and Dr. Joe. I'm excited to share this conversation, and I'm going to plant the seed now. We recorded this episode shortly after Rory's triumphant and chaotic finish taking down the Masters a couple of weeks ago at this point. So again, context, we recorded this shortly after, and there are so many nuggets of wisdom that you need to take when Dr. Joe begins discussing and differentiating between playing on the offensive versus the defensive, feeling as if you're letting the club championship slip through your hands when you may not have ever had it in the first place. So I'll leave you with that. We'll dive in. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Joseph Parent to the show. Dr. Joe Parent, thank you so much for joining me on the show. How are you today?
All good.
Glad you're here. Glad we were able to make this happen. And let's waste no time. In as few words as possible, how would you describe Rory McIlroy's performance at the Masters last week?
Well, I had the interesting opportunity to be interviewed before the Masters. Someone from Golf Magazine, someone from Reuters News Service, talking about the there was the 12th hole was one question, and the mystique of that little par three. And the other was in preparation for the duel between Rory and Bryson DeChambeau. So my prediction were that, and they were concerned, is everybody going to be rooting for Rory? And I said, well, a lot of people will be rooting for Rory, but the people that are rooting for Bryson will be even more vocal because that's the kind of style. So it's going to pretty much balance out. Bryson may be playing against Rory a little more than Rory is playing against Bryson because Rory talked about that, of being in his own little bubble and doing his best to do that. And I thought he did a pretty good job of that. The only Achilles heel that I saw for Rory was short putts under pressure, especially because he missed a 3.5-foot putt to not make a playoff with Bryson at the U.S. Open last year. And that came true on the 18th hole. It was not a misread. It was a really poorly struck putt. Also, I can't remember which hole, but at least one other one during the round of a pulled short putt. And the mentality that happens on those very often is at the last second, don't push this one. And then it pulls across. Now, the other thing that I predicted was that the struggle would happen around Amen Corner. And the Amen Corner was named, was it Herbert Warren Wind, one of the golf writers about 75 years ago, called it that because when you make it through those three holes, 11, 12, and 13, you say, Amen, I made it through. 11 because it's so hard, 12 because it's so unpredictable with the swirling winds, and 13, it's not a hard hole necessarily, but there's a lot of risk reward involved, and poor decisions can be made there. Now, what I teach is that everyone in a competitive tournament has that same Amen Corner going into the last round. The start of the back nine is the perfect storm for mental interference. You may be quite tired, so fatigue affects how the brain sends messages to the muscles. So does dehydration if you haven't drunk enough water, enough liquids or electrolytes, and nutrition if you haven't been eating enough or you ate too much at the turn. All of those things happen. And the key point in the round is that you start looking ahead to the finish line. And it's 5, 6 holes ahead. And you start thinking, okay, how do I keep this going? Especially if you have the lead. That's when leaders stumble at that point. How do I keep this going? And they start shifting from how do I play my best shot to how do I not make a mistake? When you're on the 6th hole, you look ahead, you got 12 holes, you make a mistake, you got plenty to make up for it. But on the 12th or 13th hole, you're starting to run out of holes to make up for one of those mistakes. And so it was not a surprise to me that Rory lost 3 shots on those 3 holes. He got through 12 okay, which was good fortune, and he did hit a good shot. But as soon as he birdied 10 and had a 4-shot lead, I could see him change. And instead of a positive, confident, intentional swing on 11, it was guidey, and it pushed into the trees. And that's the kind of thing that happens when you say, now I just have to protect my lead. The same thing happened to Jordan Spieth when he had a 5-shot lead going to the back 9. And I love Jordan. He was very generous. He said, this is what I was thinking. This is what I told my caddy. If we just par in from here, we've got this one. Terrible, terrible thought, because then it's how do I not bogey rather than how do I give what I try to teach is how do I give myself the best chance for birdie without taking an unnecessary risk. And for Rory on number 12, it was hitting either a driver or a 3-wood and drawing it around the corner down there and hitting it to the right side of the green and so on and so forth. I don't know what happened on the little wedge on 13 other than Dottie Pepper's jinx. On the broadcast, as he set up, she said, this is the safest possible shot he could ever hit. And I shouted at the TV. I was watching with a friend, and I shouted at the TV, no, that's the jinx. And lo and behold, he dumps it in the creek. I'm going like, I try not to be superstitious, but clearly that was the jinx. And I don't know what happened there other than losing focus. And it was so easy and so safe that he lost focus on it and ended up hitting the worst possible wedge shot he could hit. The same thing happened on 18. There he is, 125 yards right in the middle of the fairway. What tends to happen for golfers is when they have those kinds of shots, they don't get as sharp a picture as they need to. Because what I teach is to have the sharper, clearer, more complete image you have of the shot you want to hit, the better your body can respond to producing that image that your brain gives it. So if he had said, okay, I'm going to take this in with a high baby draw 10 feet past the pin into the slope and let it drift back down and snuggle up to the hole, that would have been a good plan. If he said, oh, well, this is just my gap wedge up the hill. Well, what do you want me to do with it? And then the vague image produces a vague swing, and he ends up in the bunker again. A lack of positive commitment is what produces those kinds of shots. Again, I don't know what he was thinking or what was going on, but in general, those kind of weak shots off to the right for a right-hander, lack of commitment, lack of positive intention, and lack of focus. So the other thing that I predicted was while Rory and Bryson were slugging it out, the people behind have nothing to lose.
Correct.
And I said, someone's going to shoot a 65 or 66. And if Rory and or Bryson don't move ahead, they're going to catch them. Justin Rose did it.
So let me pause here. Something that I'm extracting from you, this is brilliant, is there's a shift in Rory's mindset from being on the offensive, especially those first 9 to 10 holes, and then suddenly he's on the defensive. And I'm going to circle back, but I almost hear for Rosie, he had absolutely nothing to lose. He was literally firing on all cylinders. It was exciting to be on the offensive, and we saw how that panned out.
No defense.
Yeah, no need. So for Rory, you mentioned you could even start to see it in his body language, his shot selection, his swing intention. Why are people who hold a lead, why are we so prone to shifting into this defensive protective mindset?
It's pretty pervasive. I was working with a race car driver, and the first thing he said was, I can catch anybody, but I can't hold a lead. That's exactly it. Okay. And the difference is in a race car, in a car race or a road race on foot, you actually have to go around the person to take the lead. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do that in golf. It's an imaginary lead. It's just numbers on a scorecard, on a scoreboard. You don't really have the lead, especially if you're on a different hole. I mean, you're on the 14th hole, they're on the 12th hole, you have a one-shot lead. No, you don't. If you decide I'm going to turn in a 14-hole score and they're going to turn in a 12-hole score, congratulations, you had the lead. But that never happens. So you don't have to run around or drive around somebody. You just have to keep playing. But this fantasy about the lead and needing to protect something that doesn't even exist changes the mindset. And say, don't give any back. Well, you can't give any back because they're just numbers the past doesn't exist anymore. They're just numbers on the scorecard. You don't have to make up for something. You just have to continue your game plan. And the one that I teach pros is give yourself the best chance for birdie without taking an unnecessary risk. Plan every hole that way, plan every shot that way. The corollary is if you hit it in trouble, give yourself the best chance to save par without taking an unnecessary risk. Now, for amateurs that aren't scratch golfers, I just say give yourself the best chance for net birdie without taking an unnecessary risk and plan your shots that way. Then it's all positive and it doesn't matter. And I do a little exercise with my students. I say, okay, you're 3 under after 6. What do you want to do on number 7? And I say, just read what I just told you, those 2 lines. Just read them back to me. I don't want you to think. Just read them back to me. Okay, you're 3 over after 6. What do you want to do on number 7? You're 3 over after 12. What do you want to do on 13? And here's the catch. You're 3 under after 15. What do you want to do on the next one? And almost always they say, I want to par in, or I don't want to give any back. Or I said, no, that's not the answer. The answer is the same thing. The positive intention to shoot your lowest score without taking an unnecessary risk.
I love that. And what's so interesting is you use such a great analogy. You're right. Like when we're in the lead, it's like we're literally holding on to something that like we're attempting to protect. Exist. It doesn't, but you're right. There's the metaphor. Then now we're holding on, we're tight, we're tense, which we see permeate into our swing, our decision-making. That's brilliant. So well said. Now, from the shift there, let's go back to Rosie. Rosie had nothing to lose. Like if we're building off of that metaphor, he wasn't carrying anything. He's light, he's fluid, he's free. How can we better maintain that? Because what's interesting for Rosie is he held the day one lead. He kind of took a step back day 2, day 3, and then come Sunday with nothing to lose. What enabled him to get back on to putting his foot on the gas?
Just what we talked about, and that is, okay, what's going to give me a chance here? I mean, he's not concerned with whether he finishes 2nd, 5th, 10th. Doesn't matter to him at that point in his career. Now, if it's your first Masters, you might say, well, I really want to finish in the top 5, so I get it, or top some number that gets invited.
It's 12
back.
Now, yeah.
Is it 12? Okay. Mm-hmm. So then you have something to lose. But he had nothing to lose. So it was all about, how do I hit my best shot now? How do I hit my best shot now? How do I hit my best shot now? How do I hit my best chip? How do I hit my best putt? And nothing else. And if that's all you focus on, then there's no interference from worrying about a possible negative outcome.
When someone is playing with the lead, like I love the mantra, give yourself the best chance to birdie without taking on unnecessary risk. And I'm going to shout that from the mountaintop.
That's my big slogan.
Yeah, I love that. Now I'm curious though, because there's a lot of people listening. They've blown the lead before. They've been up 2 on 15 heading into the last 3, and suddenly they find a 3 to 4 stroke change and they see that club championship trophy slip from their fingers. What is the feedback you give them in addition to that that's tangible into their pre-shot routine and throughout those final few holes to keep their foot on the gas with that offensive mindset?
Well, you just described a very painful situation, so I'm just trying to get over that, of the slipping through your fingers. You see, the trophy doesn't slip through your fingers. You never had it. Remember? You see?
Well said,
see how easy it is to go there? Yeah. See how easy it is to get ahead of yourself? That's what just happened to you. Mm-hmm. You described a trophy slipping out of your fingers, but you were never holding the trophy. Basically, this is where I am. I'm on the 15th hole. Mm-hmm. If you start thinking about what's going to happen after the 18th hole, your body's going to be saying, so we're in the bar having a beer, right? Why do I have a golf club in my hand? Why are you telling me to swing a golf club? We just finished 18. Well, what's going on? See, if in your mind, if you're already holding the trophy, well, you're not playing golf anymore. So the key is anytime this is where awareness comes in. And I have a tracking mechanism and a training mechanism to use non-judgmental awareness to bring your attention back to your intention. So what's the intention? Play my best shot here without concern about where I stand, where the match is, this, that, or the other thing. Now, if you're talking about match play like you just did, then there's one little change, and that is if the other player has hit a shot that you're going to concede the putt. They just hit a shot right up, or a pitch shot right up next to the hole, and you know you're going to concede that putt inside 2 feet, for example. Then it is a necessary risk to fire at the pin. So it still works. You're not taking an unnecessary risk, you're taking a necessary risk. But that's real, the same thing happens if you're in the last group and you know that to get into a playoff, you need to birdie the hole or eagle the hole. If you know that you need to birdie it to make the cut, for sure, not imaginary, but you know that, then it changes from an unnecessary risk to a necessary risk. But those are the only situations where that happens.
Yeah, which the listeners need to hear. Few and far between are those circumstances. Aside from that, we can focus on best chance for birdie, avoiding unnecessary risk.
And the key is to be aware of when you get ahead of yourself and start thinking about what's going to happen on future holes, what's going to happen if I miss this one, what's going to happen if I make this. All of those things take you away from the focus on doing your routine and trusting your swing feel to produce your best shot. So another saying I have, I want you to love the way it leaves. Don't worry about how it turns out. That's beyond your control. After it leaves, all you can do is root for it. Yeah. But what you can control is, I want to do everything I can to love the way it leaves the club face, whether it's a putter, iron, hybrid, driver, doesn't matter. Love the way it leaves. Yeah. Then your focus is purely on execution, and there's no interference with worry about the outcome. I worked with Christy Kerr and had the pleasure of helping her get to number one in the world. And she came up with a great acronym. Acronym is a word made out of the first letters of several words. So the three words are worry about results, and the first three letters are WAR. Mm-hmm. And she said, if I worry about results, I'm at war with myself. So that's
and
what those two things are what I would tell people. Stick with the game plan and focus on quality shot. But to do that, you need to catch yourself if you get ahead of yourself. Have awareness to catch. Where is my mind? Am I in here on the 15th hole, or am I holding the supposed trophy on the 18th hole?
Yeah, I love that. And I literally wrote down in my notes, like, the theme here is be here now. Not in the 19th hole with your buddies, not holding that metaphorical trophy, but focusing on giving yourself the best chance to hit the best shot to your potential now. Period.
Now, I want to talk about the be here now thing. That's an old book by Baba Ram Das from the 1960s and 70s was the title of that book. Mm-hmm. But people think, well, how do I get to the present? How do I get to be here now? I want to make it easier for you. There's no place else you can physically be. Unless you have a time machine in your backyard, your body is always in the present. And it's in space, it's always here, and in time, it's always now. Okay, so, but your mind is a time machine. So rather than I need to find a way to be here now, to be in the present, that's the default mode. The thoughts about the past and the future are overlay. So if you're overlaying this sense of present with thoughts of the future, that's as soon as you let go of that, you're automatically back. You don't have to bring yourself back. You're automatically back. Let go of the thoughts of the past. Oh, you find yourself in the present. Let go of thoughts of the future. Oh, you find yourself in the present. But what people do is they complicate things. And they say, well, I don't want to pull it like I did that last putt. So they add that on. And then they get to the next tee shot. And, well, I don't want to push it like I did the last tee shot. So they add that on. Oh, I got quick at the top, so I need to slow that down. So they add some more technique on. And they just keep adding more on. And what I tell my players is, I call that moron golf. So stop adding more on. Let go of the extra stuff and get back to, this is what it feels like now. And the key is, make a plan for the shot that you can, and the hole that you can commit to. And then find a swing feel. Hopefully you have a swing feel that you can trust. And that's your assignment. Set up the best you can, commit to your plan the best you can, trust your swing the best you can, and hopefully love the way it leaves.
Why are we so prone to time traveling? What precedes that thought process to drift into the future or fail to let go of a shot from the past?
That's a really good question. Why? I don't think it's important. I don't think it's important because it is a habitual pattern that we as humans have developed since prehistoric time. Mm-hmm. You know, if there are two cave persons walking along, and they pass by near this cave, and they hear a growl coming out of it. And they say, "Ooh, we better remember where this is. Let's get out of here." And the next time one of them is walking out alone and thinks, "Oh, you know what? I think around this corner up ahead of me, it's going to be that bear's cave. I better not go there." And the other one is going, "Do, do, do, do. I'm in the present. Out of the gene pool."
I'm picturing like Fred Flintstone doing this as you're talking. I love it.
Out of the. It was actually Fred Funk. That's how he used to walk on the PGA Tour. I remember one time we were at a tournament, and he was walking onto the putting green, and the volunteer pulled the gate rope up in front of him and said, "Well, why'd you stop me? I'm one of the pros." And the person said, "Oh, you seemed happy, so I didn't think you were one of the pros." This is the grim game face Thursday morning. And so I like to tell the players, you know, Tuesday is the day for work. Thursday is the day for play.
I like that. And I love how you go back to the caveman, because I use that analogy a lot too, because back then as well, if you were thinking about your cave person tribe, if you were ever abandoned, rejected from that tribe, well, then all of a sudden you didn't have shelter, and maybe that bear, that saber-toothed tiger got you. So that concern over the past is probably an ingrained protective mechanism as well to keep you belonging, accepted by said tribe.
Yeah. So it's a cute story. It's possibly true. But the key is that is what we do.
Yeah.
And we dwell on the past as if thinking about it could change it. Mm-hmm. And we imagine the future as if that is what's going to happen, but we have it as if it's real and it's totally imaginary. Yeah. Ironically, the past is also imaginary, because we never remember things exactly the way they were.
Yeah. Well said. I think everyone needs to really hear that. It's such a great reminder. Speaking of, you know, so many bad shots are going to be hit on the golf course. So many mistakes are going to be made. If you choose to view them as learning opportunities, well, that's fuel to help you accelerate your progress. But when you've had a bad hole, a bad shot, how do you help your players and athletes mentally reset to return to that focused, calm state to hit that next shot to the best of their potential?
Well, I present three phases in Zen Golf that I call the PAR approach, or the PAR system: preparation, action, response to results. So I already talked about preparation, having a clear picture of what you want to do, commitment, and not holding on. You know, grounded, settled, centered in your body rather than up in your head. You know, no one's ever used the expression down tight, because we're only up tight. And no one in the world has ever calmed up. You just calm down. So part of the preparation is getting a plan you can commit to, feeling that commitment and to that plan, and then letting the breath out and letting go of any unnecessary tension that you can, so that you can focus purely on the swing feel. Then action is being aware of the possibility for interference with concern for outcome, and focusing purely on committing to your plan, trusting your swing feel the best you can, and wanting to love the way it leaves. Now, the response to results, usually we have an unhelpful response to results. We had a really good shot and we go, whatever, or we go, thank you, I'll take another one of those. Oh. We hit a bad shot, we go, there I go again. So we identify with the bad ones, not with the good ones. I want to flip that. You hit a really good shot, I want you to say, that's how I always hit it when I prepare well and I commit to my plan, I trust my swing, I get grounded, any of those process things. If you hit an okay shot, but not the greatest, don't leave with that swing. Make a swing you wish you'd made. And you go, that little adjustment, that's all I need. And if you hit a real stinker, it's never your swing. It is mental interference 100% of the time. And if that's the case, I mean a really bad one. That's so out of your dispersion pattern, something interfered, it's always some kind of mental interference. Now, it may be a sound that you hear just as you're swinging, that's still mental interference. It's not that your body forgot how to swing the club. So in that case, you have to reflect, say, what was I thinking? That's not my swing. And disidentify with that swing. Say, where did that come from? And then again, erase and replace. Erase that swing and replace it with the one you wish you'd made and say, I need to do a better job in my preparation and my commitment. And that, in Japanese, that's called kaizen, or the path of continuous improvement. So that you learn from what just happened and you use what you learned to insert into your preparation for the next one and then continuously improve on the golf course that way. I was just doing a playing lesson and noticed I wasn't hitting my irons that crisply. They seemed to be coming not off the center of the club face, going a couple of different directions. And when I took my replacement swings, I noticed that where the club head passed through the grass was a little closer to me than where I've been setting up to the ball position. So I set up one ball closer and just started striping the irons. So you learn from that replacement swing.
Yeah. Brilliant. Really good tangible step there. Now, I'm curious, because now we're starting to shift in some of these processes. When we start to talk about process versus outcome, it's almost like the human condition is to be so attached and prone to focusing on the outcome. What do the golfers listening need to hear to find greater ease and effectiveness, detaching from those outcomes, remaining committed to their processes?
Well, it reminds me of this great old comedian named Henny Youngman. And he said, I went to my doctor and I said, it hurts when I do that. And the doctor said, don't do that. So again, it's awareness. It's simply awareness. Am I focusing on the outcome or am I focusing on my process? And if I'm focusing on the outcome, wake up, come back to the process. But there are challenges out there. They used to call them hazards. Now they call them penalty areas, but they're challenges. And so you have to say, okay, well, I do have to take the challenge. I can't pretend they're not there. That won't work. Take the challenges into account and pick the target that gives you the most room to play. Here's another saying for you that Christy actually credited her great progress to change from perfectionism of having to hit her spot. And that is, in golf, you aim at a spot, but you play to an area. Everyone has a dispersion pattern. The better you are, the smaller it is. And the longer hitter you are, the farther away from you it is. But whatever it is, that's your area. And you pick the spot so that your area doesn't overlap the trouble. Now, if it does, you have to say, am I willing to take that risk and not worry about it? Or should I change my plan to a plan that I can really commit to? And, there's nothing in the rules that says you can't hit 4-iron, 4-iron, 9-iron onto a par 5.
Yeah.
That's what people who have the lead do at Pebble Beach on number 18.
Yeah. So I'm curious to get your thoughts. You've worked with some of the top players in the game of golf, some of the top minds, top athletes across all industries and sports. What do the best of the best believe about themselves, especially when they're not playing to their potential?
I'm glad you asked that. I was just talking with some people about that. In Zen Golf, I have a chapter called Unconditional Confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And there are three kinds of confidence: false, conditional, and unconditional. False confidence is bravado and saying that you're great, but not really believing it at all, and trying to convince others when you're not even convinced yourself. Now, conditional confidence is confidence, but it's based on how well you've been performing lately. So you'll hear golfers say, I was playing great, I played great, then I blew up on the sixth hole and I lost my confidence and it was just down the drain after that. So that's conditional confidence, how well you've been playing recently. Mm-hmm. Unconditional confidence is independent of recent results. And there are two aspects to unconditional confidence. One is relative unconditional confidence, and that is in relation to a particular skill set or field or area of performance. So if you've been a great golfer for your whole life and you're in a slump, relative unconditional confidence is saying, look, I know I'm talented. I know how to do this. Something's in the way. Then you have relative unconditional confidence, even though you haven't been performing well. Absolute unconditional confidence is the other aspect. And that is, it goes deeper than any particular area of performance. It's about believing in yourself. That no matter how well or poorly you've done recently, you believe in yourself and your capacity to grow and learn. So those are the different aspects of confidence.
Why does unconditional confidence, or what have you found most likely to diminish that feeling? Why do so many people get knocked off track? Is it because that belief was never unconditional in the first place?
That's right. If it's truly unconditional confidence, then it's not. You can't get knocked off.
Yeah.
Of that,
well said.
Because it's not conditioned.
Now, for the listener who possesses conditional confidence, they've had the spurts, they've seen flashes of their potential, but it's not consistent. How do we begin cultivating unconditional confidence?
Focus on what you've done well. It's very typical in golf to focus on the negative. Some of the questions that you've asked, well, you have this problem and this problem, and then you mess up this hole and you mess up this hole. That's, golfers are great critics. Mm-hmm. Excuse my language, but I have a game that I introduced to some of the players called BMW golf. If you bitch, moan, or whine about your shot, and then it turns out well, we can either make you take it over or trade with you. So it gets people not complaining until the ball stops. So I think that what we're trying to get to is to, instead of focusing on what's negative, focus on the positive aspects. That's what I was talking about on the response to results. Golfers are such great critics. Oh, I pushed it, I pulled it, I hit it thin, I hit it fat. We can find something wrong with just about every shot. A friend of mine, it was a long par 3, he hit a 4-iron up towards the left side of the green. He went, I pulled it. I hate it when I do that. Then the wind caught it. Then it hit the side slope and kicked over and went in the hole. So he was complaining about a shot that turned into a hole-in-one. That's why the BMW golf. But we're such great critics. Instead, pick out what went well with it. Focus on the shots you really did love the way they left, the ones you really love the way you hit, and then you start developing the confidence that when I am out of my own way, this is the skill level that shows up. That's really the key. What's the skill level that shows up when you're out of your own way? It's very typical that I have golfers. In fact, I have one of my videos is take your range game to the course. Mm-hmm. They come up to me and say, how come I'm a 2 on the range and a 12 on the course? Or I'm a 8 on the range and an 18 on the course. For some reason, it's always 10 strokes. I don't know why. But it's like I'm 10 shots better on the range. Yeah. And I say, well, how many 7-irons do you hit in a row that you get to pick the best one when you're on the golf course? So I say, you're not as good as you think you are on the range. And you're not as bad as you think you are on the golf course. So, but you can use the range to say, when I'm out of my own way and just hitting a shot fearlessly, with positive commitment, with trusting my swing, this is my dispersion pattern. And that's what I can have relative unconditional confidence in, that when I'm out of my way, it will land in my dispersion pattern.
We've talked, the underlying theme of our conversation has been awareness, sprinkle in the word presence as well.
Well, that's what the word Zen means when I wrote Zen Golf.
Yeah.
Zen is awareness. It's another translation for awareness.
So let's go off the course, knowing there's only so much time to hit all the golf shots we need to in our 4.5 hours. When we talk about strengthening or cultivating the skill of Zen, what does that look like away from the course so we can better transfer it onto the course?
One thing that I offer, and people can go to my YouTube channel to find these, I do mindfulness and awareness training. Mm-hmm. And go through a sequence of practices that introduce people to getting settled and centered in their body, then mindful of their breathing and their body, and then mindful and then aware of their presence in the environment, and then how they engage with everything in their lives. So it's Dr. Joe Parent. You'll see my picture on the YouTube channel. So doing that training, taking a few minutes of the day, and I think Rory McIlroy actually talked about doing that himself, of taking some time of practicing his mindfulness and awareness and working with his breathing so that he can better regulate himself when he's on the golf course. You have to take a little time out to do some of that. And even if you only start with 5 or 10 minutes, that's a start. Then the key is for that to be a reminder during the day and during everything you do. So you set an intention at the beginning. I call this the sandwich of the day. Set an intention at the beginning. I'm going to be as mindful and kind as I can. I actually wrote a book with my sister using Winnie the Pooh stories. It's called A Walk in the Wood, Meditations on Mindfulness with a Bear Named Pooh. And the intention that Winnie the Pooh has for every day is to be as mindful and kind as possible. So that's a good intention. Yeah. Then you go through the day, and because you set that intention, you check on yourself. Was I mindful? Was I kind? And you keep checking. As we talked about, am I present? Or am I off in the past or off in the future? And as soon as you check on that, you're back. It's almost like when you wake up from a dream. You know that you were dreaming, you're already awake. You don't have to say, oh, I was dreaming, I should wake up now. You're already awake. So I was in the past, oh, I'm back. Now, what do I need to do in this situation to be as mindful and kind as possible? Then the other part of the sandwich is the end of the day. You reflect on it. Say, okay, these were cues or situations that took me out of my intention. I want to pay extra attention tomorrow to those. And but particularly these are the things that were successful, and I want to do more of that. And start with the positives, and then what you can learn from things that didn't go well.
Well said. And I'm curious, with as long as you've taught Zen mindfulness practices, like the example you just shared, what are the common forms of either misunderstanding, misconception, or just people get wrong about mindfulness, or the resistance they encounter to building such a practice?
Well, one is they think I can't do this because my mind keeps wandering, but that the mind likes to wander. So the practice is not holding it still and being able to hold it forever and ever. No, yes, we want to extend longer and longer those periods of presence, but we have to have a sense of humor. And that's really, people would say, well, what's the point of all this mindfulness and awareness practice? It's to develop a better sense of humor. As far as golf is concerned, I loved what this one pro that I was working with said. She said she was doing a clinic for some beginning women learning to play business golf, and I was coaching with her on this program. She said, "Ladies, take the game seriously, but don't take yourself seriously." And that applies to life. Take everything in life seriously, but don't take yourself so seriously. I think that the real key is to work with that throughout your life, and then have that aspiration to take the positives and to have a sense of humor about the fact that, oh, there I go again. That's a mistake. What can I learn from it, and how can I catch myself sooner and extend my sense of presence longer, and be less concerned about me and be kinder to others?
Well said. So imagine this. You're at your favorite golf course. There's a gigantic billboard in the middle of the course that can be seen from all 18 holes. And you have the opportunity to decide what message is written on that billboard. What are you putting on that billboard?
I think what I just said. Take the game seriously, but don't take yourself seriously.
I love that. Take the game seriously, but don't take yourself seriously.
And do your best to get out of your own way, to let the clouds of being in your own way part, so that your capabilities can shine through like the sun.
Full of the meta. This is fantastic. I have multiple sticky pages of notes. Dr. Joseph Parent, this has been incredible. And I want to get you out of here on this. We're going to get a little niched in this question specific for the audience here. A lot of the listeners are high single-digit handicaps. They have this attachment, this commitment to becoming a scratch golfer. What do they need to hear to create more ease and accelerate the results to achieve that goal?
Patience, sense of humor. I sometimes I do my clinics and I say, I got a great sport for you. I want you to try. It takes a long time. It costs a lot of money. And you'll only enjoy it 1 out of 4 or 5 times that you play. Anybody want to do that? And they go, no. I said, see, you also told me that you only enjoy golf when you shoot your handicap or better. And the handicap system is set up so you're only going to shoot that number 1 out of 4 or 5 times. And if you do it more often, you know what they're going to do? They're going to lower the number. So understand that it's not going to be a straight line of progress. Have patience. And there's a great book called Mastery by George Leonard. And he says, learn to love the plateau, that your results will plateau for a long time while the different skill levels that you're improving slowly find a way to meld together. How many times have you heard golfers say, oh, I drove the ball great, but I didn't hit my irons well. I drove the ball, I hit my irons well, but my putting was bad. Oh, I putted great, but I couldn't get off the tee. It takes time for all of them to meld together. And then you move to a whole nother level. So it isn't a straight line. Your handicap will drop and then stay there for quite a while. So patience is really the key. And again, sense of humor, and understand you're going to get to throw out half of those rounds as far as your score goes for your handicap. So use them as learning opportunities.
Well, thank you so much for such an incredible, insightful conversation. Where can our listeners go to learn more about you, learn from you, and to inquire about working with you, Doc?
My main website is just my name, without the period, drjoeparent.com. The dot just before the com. I also have the YouTube channel, which is also my name. And you can search for me on my author page on Amazon as well. I really love that my book that I did with my sister, that's not about golf, it's for families, using stories of Winnie the Pooh plus adult language golf mindfulness instructions, so that families can read the book together, and then the adults can read the stories together, and the adults can work with their youngsters to develop mindfulness in an age-appropriate way. I also did a diet book using the same principles. So that's the other thing. My author page on Amazon, my website, and my YouTube channel are the main thing. And on the website, there's contact information, and you can sign up for the free weekly newsletter with quotes and videos and things like that. And I do almost all my lessons like this on video.
You know, a funny story. My background, you may not know, is as a performance dietitian. So many years ago, I stumbled across your Zen weight loss book. And then, of course, full circle moment later on when I recognized you were the author of all the Zen Golf after I had kind of pivoted careers. And I thought that was really neat. So to now have the opportunity to fully bring it full circle, I can't thank you enough, Doctor, for your time.
My pleasure. Good to meet you, Paul.
And for those of you listening, thank you for tuning in to another episode. I know that you found immense value in today's conversation with Doc. So do us a favor, go listen to it once more, probably twice more. There's a lot for you to learn. Take notes, go share it with your friends, your fellow golfers, so that both of you can become more aware, mindful, and start playing to your potential more consistently. And if you haven't done so already, it takes 30 seconds to leave a genuine rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. Your reviews go a long way in helping me bring fantastic guests just like Dr. Joseph Parent onto the show. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Hit them straight this weekend, and we'll catch you in the next episode.